Hi guys, Shreed here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video on my soon-to-be alma mater, the University of Arizona. This past week I just started my second senior semester at U of A. I'm going to be graduating with 2 degrees. I'm excited about that because I can potentially get like this thing called a job where I get paid a lot of money. Supposedly. That's the myth. Let's see if it actually works. Anyway, I thought that, you know, before I get ejected by my university and get my diploma mailed to me because of COVID, that I should make a video on U of A, because as somebody who's about to graduate, I know a hell of a lot about that school. So, if you've never been to my channel before, this would be a good time to subscribe. No, I'm just kidding. If you've never been to my channel before, hi, I'm happy to have you here. And if you're returning to my channel, that's super cool. Like, that's amazing. Leave a comment, okay, so that we can talk about it. Anyway, yeah, so I made a list of pros and cons of U of A on my phone. Wanna bring to your attention something. If my phone's in my hand, that means that it's not currently being used to film this video. I got a camera, which has made me very happy. Put quite a dent in my pocket, but Joe Biden's coming through with those next round of stimulus checks, am I right? Joe. Anyway, okay, let's start with the pros. Obviously, let's start with the pros because I don't think it would be very smart to start with like everything that I hate about this school, and there's definitely more pros than cons, okay? For the pros, the first thing I wrote was Tucson. I've come to greatly enjoy that city. I feel like it's the oldest establishment in Arizona. I could be wrong in that, but it's definitely older than the Phoenix area. It's got great food. It's a UNESCO Food World Heritage Site. It's Democrat run. But I think it's a really fun city because I grew up in, like I said, Tempe, and that place is much more of like a suburb, concrete type of place, okay? Tucson seems more natural to me. It's more fun. It's more of a vibe. You know, I found that it's a very fun place to go to college. That's what I thought. And the desert, I think, is a little bit more beautiful there. Not that to say that the desert in Phoenix isn't beautiful. It's mostly that Tucson is more integrated with the desert than I would say that Phoenix is. That's something that I enjoy. So, I wrote dirty for Tucson. That's a plus for me because it gives a level of authenticity. It's got great food, beautiful nature. Oh, and Tucson has a lot of murals. I don't know if it's something specific that the city does or what, but they have tons of murals everywhere, and I think it's very pretty, and it's a total like artsy, like hippie kind of vibe that I think is cool. The second pro I would have for U of A, it's got a beautiful campus. So as far as the state schools go in Arizona, you have ASU, U of A, and NAU. And NAU's in northern Arizona, it's in Flagstaff. And ASU's whole thing is that they have, the one in Tempe, the school, is that they have their campus oriented, like integrated into the city, okay? So that's their whole gambit, is that you live in this city kind of downtown kind of campus. So it's really spread out, okay? And they have several campuses. U of A's campus is pretty much a square mile. It's a big campus because U of A houses a lot of students, but the furthest you will walk to get from one side to the other would probably be 30 minutes, and there's really good transportation on campus. So it's a really nice compact sort of area where you can get the big campus vibe, but also still the feeling that your campus is a place and not just randomly scattered throughout downtown. So it's got a beautiful campus and they take really good care of it. For a place on the West Coast in Arizona, I think it does a good job of having that old academia feel that you would get at like Harvard, because it's got a lot of these like old brick buildings, and so I think it does pretty good there, and it makes you feel like you're actually at a college. It's a public Ivy. Okay, and so this is something that I learned when I was applying or got into U of A in 2017. So everybody's heard of the Ivy League, Harvard, Princeton, all of those awesome schools. But there's actually a designation called the public Ivy. I'm not exactly sure who gives that out. I'll look that up and put it on the screen or something. But basically it means that if you are given the designation of public Ivy, if a school is given that, that means that they are a public university that offers educational programs that are on par with the Ivy League. So the University of Arizona, I think, is the only state school that meets that criteria, although don't quote me. But it's definitely a public Ivy, which is really cool. So I would say, okay, it is the best state school in Arizona. Like, let's be honest. Depending on what your major is, there could be differences. Like, I know ASU has a really good engineering program, business program, NAU has a really good music program, forestry program. But I think overall, if you look at the schools ranking, like on the US News and World Report, whatever, for best colleges in the United States, I think that U of A ranks higher than the other state schools in Arizona. It's got a lot of programs. Now, this is something that I think most big state schools can say that they have, but they've got a lot of programs in STEM and in liberal arts, so you don't have to feel pushed towards one particular area of study when you first start going to school, because I know that's something that people worry about as incoming freshmen. U of A's got great liberal arts programs. It's got a good philosophy program, a good political science program. It has, and on the flip side, good STEM programs as well. Definitely, if you're like coming in as a freshman and you don't have a good sense of what you would like to do yet, going to a school like this could be good for you because you'd have the opportunity to have so many majors so that you don't really feel like pushed into a corner right when you're starting. So, alright, this is going to come up in the cons section, but I put it in the pros section because it really just depends on the perspective you take on it. Greek life. So I have to like pause and tell the story of Greek life in the state of Arizona. For most things, I just don't need to talk about NAU. It's a really small school and I don't really know what people do in Flagstaff. If you know, let me know in the comments, but as far as I know, that's not my business. However, the two big schools, ASU and U of A, have quite the rivalry. Now, ASU has for a long time had the reputation of being one of the, if not the biggest party school in the country. And I remember like when I was in middle school back in 2012, they were constantly making the news for these crazy frat party ragers that would end up in somebody getting drunk, or obviously they would end up in somebody getting drunk, that would end up with somebody having like alcohol poisoning or falling off a roof or just something crazy like that, so somebody would really get hurt. And so I think as a result of this, around that time, frats were outlawed and sororities were they were dehoused. They got their houses taken away from them. So at ASU, if you wanted to join a sorority or a frat, I don't think you didn't have a house, which I'm not in Greek life. I don't know if that's painfully obvious. But I think that's a big deal to them. I think that that's something that's very uplifting for them, okay? So U of A now also has a huge Greek life population as well. But what I was saying is that it used to be ASU was like the big Greek life school, but ever since they had got dehoused and so you kind of aren't really part of a house, people who really like Greek life have been more pushed to U of A, because U of A still has houses for the fraternities and sororities on campus. And so out of just all of the state schools, I'm pretty sure that U of A is like the biggest Greek life school now. They have a lot of organizations that date back a while, but also because of the whole ASU thing. That was a long way of basically saying that we have a lot of sorority girls and frat boys at our school. So if you're somebody who wants to join a sorority or a frat, that's amazing. You may find that a huge pro. If you are not somebody who wants to join a sorority or a frat, or that could be a con, and we will discuss that in the con section for sure. But right now I'm going to leave that as a pro if that is something that you find yourself interested in. So you'll have a lot of good and plentiful frat parties. I think that the party days on at U of A is Thursday, so basically Thursday through Saturday nights, there's always parties. Well, that was pre-COVID, but you can expect that. Alright, relatively cheap. All of the state schools in Arizona are pretty cheap. Like when I was applying, which was in 2017, you were gonna pay, I think, maybe around, my tuition's about $12,000 a year, okay? And so that was basically what you were seeing for state schools around that time in Arizona. I think it's gone up because they lock you into the rate that they gave you when you applied, and that was a couple years ago because I'm graduating now, huh? But it's all around not that expensive. Out of state, obviously, if you're not from Arizona, will be way more expensive, but I think overall it's still pretty inexpensive, and then they give out pretty good scholarships. You know, you get a scholarship for having a GPA above a 3.0 and an SAT score that is acceptable. I don't think it needs to be that high. But on top of that, Tucson itself is a very cheap city. I don't know much about Flagstaff, but Tempe is more expensive than Tucson, where ASU is. Tucson, it's cheap. I pay $520 to live in the house that I live in, which is kind of an interesting situation, but that's for another story. But basically, you know, you can get a lot of square footage and amenities for a low price. And most people, because of this, will live off campus because U of A dorms aren't that nice. And you could probably, most likely 100%, get a cheaper place, like at a cheaper apartment or whatever, to rent off campus. So I've always found that that was a huge benefit to me when I decided to move off campus after my freshman year, is that my housing cost went way, way, way far down than it would have if I had continued to live on campus. I got way more space, and I really was not that far from the university. I was still within bike riding distance. Also, this is the last little fun note. Recreational marijuana was just legalized in Arizona, so that's another reason why you should go to U of A, because you could partake. Duh. Now on to the cons. Yeah, okay, so there are some, I'll have to say. My first con is the city of Tucson. Alright, I talked about all the good things that I like about Tucson, but there's some things I don't like. Okay, it's dirty. Now, you can be okay with that, you can let that bother you. It doesn't bother me that much, but if you're the type of person who really likes suburbs and like concrete pavement and doesn't enjoy potholes, this might not be the place for you. Okay, if those things really get on your nerves, having issues like that, maybe reconsider. Tucson's just crusty and old. You know, I love it, but it's crusty and old. Okay, bad traffic. Oh my god. It takes forever to get anywhere in this city, okay? It doesn't matter how close the place is or how fast your car is or what time you leave, because there will be something somewhere or someone, probably on a bike, riding it poorly, who is going to mess you up and make you take longer than you needed to get from point A to point B. That's just what it is. We have one freeway in Tucson. If like the city was a circle, the freeway is right here. It doesn't do anything except for take you from Phoenix to Tucson and then to Nogales if you want to keep going. But as far as getting within Tucson, it's not very helpful there. So yeah, we don't have any like this way freeways. So that sucks. I've never gone into a car accident before I moved to that place, but I rear-ended somebody twice since living there. Oh my god. Anyway, bad traffic. You'll get over it, but it sucks. Yeah, some parts are kind of scary of Tucson. Some parts of every place are scary though, so you know, that's just kind of common sense. You avoid it, you know. Life's scary. Okay, it's definitely not as convenient as Phoenix/Tempe. Half because of the car thing, it takes forever to get anywhere, but Phoenix/Tempe, just a huge metro area. It has everything that you could possibly think of, okay? Tucson, it's not lacking in like essentials, but here's an example. There's no Staples in Tucson. That's not that big of a deal because they have an Office Max, but sometimes I don't want to go there. I want to go to Staples, okay? There was a time when I was having that issue. I didn't want to go to Office Max or Office Depot. I wanted to go to Staples. And the nearest Staples was in Queen Creek, which is at the tip of the Phoenix metro area. Or, for the longest time, they didn't have a Red Robin. They built one, but before they did, they didn't have one. And they don't have a single Johnny Rocket. So, you know, there are little things that you'll find they don't have. It's not going to be a huge block to your life or your happiness, but it may be slightly irritating. So there's that. Next con I wrote is Greek life. Now, this is for the other side of the argument. If you think that Greek life is annoying. I kind of thought that sometimes, think that still sometimes. I'm just saying, like as an entity on campus, they can be irritating. Parties can be unsafe, people dying, alcohol poisoning, sexual assault. Not parties in general, but frat parties. So there are frats on campus who are known specifically for sexual assaulting women during parties. I don't want to name any names, I guess, because I don't really know. I'm not really informed in the Greek life world, but I do know that that's something that exists, and one of the reasons why I didn't go to frat parties, because it just didn't really like seem like it was worth my time, to be honest. So that could be a con if you find large droves of freshmen roaming around your campus every weekend in search for the nearest keg of beer. That may be annoying to you. But if you are one of those freshmen searching for the keg of beer, search on at the U of A, because that might be the perfect school for you. Okay, moving along. Most expensive state school in Arizona. Okay, remember when I was talking about U of A being cheap? It is, it's just more expensive than ASU and NAU. I think a couple $1,000s more expensive depending. It really depends, but from what I remember when I was looking into the colleges, that's what I found. Take that as you will. I don't want to speak callously, but I do think that it's a price discrepancy that wouldn't necessarily be a deal breaker, but that could be dependent on anybody's situation. And lastly, Arizona has a Republican governor who is an idiot. Yeah, so I thought I would put that in there because most likely if you're watching this video because you want to make some sort of college decision, you will have to be dealing with COVID during that college decision. And as somebody who has ridden out this entire COVID crisis in a red state during college with a red governor, okay, I guess we did turn blue kind of in the last election, but Governor Doug Ducey, I'm not his biggest fan right now, okay? As of me filming this, I think Arizona is the #1 per capita hotspot of COVID transmission in the world for the second time in this pandemic, and it's scary, and it's largely in part due to the fact that Governor whatever his face, Doug Ducey, does not want to impart a statewide mask mandate. I mean, that's fucked up, okay? There's absolutely no reason for you to not do that. All the health officials are saying we need to do that. You have lives on your hands. I really don't know how he sleeps at night, but if you come to U of A, you'll be subject to the rules and regulations of an idiot who doesn't seem to care about the personal health and well-being of his citizenry, which really doesn't surprise me considering his track record, but you should take that into consideration. Overall though, I guess my comments on U of A are that it's a good school. I have never regretted going there. I think it was the right decision for me. I hadn't really planned on going out of state, so I really only had 3 options, and I didn't want to go to school in the same city that I grew up, so then I only had 2 options, and one of those options was kind of so I had 1 option. Wasn't that hard. But I've never regretted it. I felt like it's been a really good experience, and I felt like a lot of the programs have been way better than I thought they would be. I've had some amazing political science professors. One of my professors was the former mayor of Tucson, Dr. Thomas Volge. They have an amazing music program. I have a music minor and I study jazz with the music department, and when I started doing that, I was so surprised to find the faculty there really know their stuff. That was surprising to me because I'd never heard of the U of A being particularly well renowned for its music program or anything like that. I think it's one of those schools where, like, in all of the nooks and crannies, even in places where it's not supposed to be that great or you haven't heard like, oh, they have an amazing program for this, they probably have really good teachers for that program or really good professors. I think I've gotten a really good education. Anyway, I could do a lot more stuff on U of A and college and whatnot, so let me know if you think this video is interesting in the comments down below. Make sure to check out some of my other videos because they exist and they need to be watched by people, because that was the point of me making them. So you should do that. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.